Wild West was stranger than we think because there were very bizarre sightings, such as prehistoric birds. The Old West, a land of lawlessness, legends, and mysteries that still baffle us today. But among the tales of outlaws and gold rushes, there's a stranger story that soars above them all: the legend of the Thunderbird. Long before settlers arrived, Native American tribes spoke of the Thunderbird, a colossal bird that could create thunder with the flap of its wings and shoot lightning from its eyes. This creature wasn't just a myth, it was a powerful symbol of nature's fury and protection. But the legend didn't stop with native stories. In 1890, near the infamous town of Tombstone, Arizona, two cowboys claimed they encountered something out of a nightmare: a giant bird-like creature with leathery wings stretching nearly 20 feet across. They said it looked more like a pterosaur than any bird they'd ever seen, a prehistoric monster alive in the Wild West. According to their story, they shot the beast down and dragged its massive body back to town. A photograph supposedly showed them standing proudly next to the creature's corpse. But that photo, it was never found. Some say it was a hoax. Others swear it was covered up. The legend of the Tombstone Thunderbird was born, and this wasn't the only sighting. Stories from the American Southwest and even as far as Vicksburg, Mississippi, told of giant flying creatures resembling pterosaurs. In 1864, during the Civil War, soldiers reportedly shot down a similar beast near Vicksburg. These soldiers described the creature as having an enormous wingspan, with a body covered in leathery skin rather than feathers. It swooped low over their camp, terrifying the men, before they managed to shoot it down. But just like the Tombstone incident, no physical evidence remains. Again, no solid proof, but the tales kept flying. These stories fueled the imaginations of cryptozoologists, people who search for creatures science hasn't confirmed. Could prehistoric beasts still be lurking in remote corners of the world? Or were these just exaggerations, fueled by the wild spirit of the West? Back then, newspapers loved wild tales. Fast forward to 1976 in San Antonio, Texas. A family claimed to have seen a monstrous bird flying overhead, its wings wider than a car, and its head resembling that of a reptile. They described it as eerily silent, gliding effortlessly through the sky before disappearing into the horizon. The sighting left them shaken, and they were convinced it wasn't just a large bird. Even today, people claim to see massive birds soaring through the skies. In 1977, in Lawndale, Illinois, a young boy was reportedly lifted off the ground by a giant bird before escaping its clutches. Witnesses described the bird as having a wingspan over 10 feet, sparking renewed interest in the Thunderbird legend. For centuries, Native American tribes have told stories of this giant bird, a powerful spirit of the skies. But even into modern times, people claim to have seen it with their own eyes. But one story from the Wild West still sends chills down the spine of those who hear it. Jack Carter was a simple rancher, raising his young son, Tommy, on the outskirts of Red Rock, Arizona. But one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jack's life changed forever. Out of nowhere, a monstrous bird with wings wider than a train car swooped down from the sky. Jack watched in horror as the creature's talons snatched little Tommy from the ground, lifting him into the darkening sky. Jack rode through the night to the nearest town, bursting into the sheriff's office, shouting about a giant bird stealing his boy. No one believed him. They thought Jack had lost his mind, driven mad by grief or drink. But Jack knew what he saw. Refusing to give up, Jack ventured into the wild, following the storm clouds, determined to find his son, or the beast that took him. Jack Carter was never seen again. Some say he met his end searching for a ghost. Others whisper he found the Thunderbird, and maybe even his son. But to this day, sightings of enormous birds continue across the American skies. Could Jack's story have been true all along? Among the Lakota, Ojibwe, and Algonquin tribes, the Thunderbird wasn't just a myth, it was a force of nature. They believed this colossal bird soared high above the clouds, flapping its wings with such power that thunder echoed across the land. Its eyes, they flashed bolts of lightning, striking fear into the hearts of those below. It hunted great whales and carried them away with ease. We knew when the Thunderbird was near, because no man, no animal, dared to make a sound. Here's where the legend gets even more chilling. Reports of a bird fitting the Thunderbird's description didn't just stay in ancient stories. In 1977, in Lawndale, Illinois, a young boy named Marlon Lowe claimed a massive bird swooped down and tried to carry him away. His mother watched in horror as Marlon kicked and screamed, barely escaping its grip, and Marlon's not alone. From Alaska to Texas, people have seen birds with wingspans over 20 feet. Skeptics say it's just mistaken identity, a big eagle or a condor, but eyewitnesses swear these birds are far bigger and far more terrifying. The Sioux believed that to even speak of the Thunderbird without respect was to invite disaster. In 1923, deep in the Black Hills of South Dakota, a boy named Eli laughed at the stories, calling them foolish. That night, as a violent storm rolled in, Eli vanished. The only clue? Giant claw marks etched into the earth and enormous feathers scattered in the mud. Is the Thunderbird just a legend, born from the imaginations of ancient people? Or is there something still lurking in the skies, waiting to strike when we least expect it? Maybe next time you hear thunder, you'll wonder if it's just the weather or wings beating in the clouds. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell before the Thunderbird gets you.